remember when I did this? Well, 2 of my selections from that video managed to make it into All Star Brawl. But I want to talk about the fact that Game Mill Entertainment has recently announced a 3rd installment in the Nickelodeon Kart Racing franchise. So what I'm doing here today is following up what is now my most viewed video on this channel with something that is similarly themed to it. And we're going to talk about some Nickelodeon characters that I would like to see be added into the kart racing game that is set to release sometime in October.
Nickelodeon is no stranger to making video games that bring a bunch of their more popular characters together. And one of the easiest ways to make a crossover like this is to slap them all down into a cart and have them partake in child-friendly death races. While Nicktoons Racing for the PlayStation 1, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and PC was technically the first racing game of its kind, what we're talking about here today is Nickelodeon Kart Racer and Nickelodeon Kart Racer 2 Grand Prix.
For those of you who haven't spent a lot of time on this channel already, I haven't really spent much time talking about Kart Racer or Kart Racer 2 outside of earning the platinum trophies for both of these games. But for now, here's the gist of what both games have to offer.
Developed by Bam-Tang, a studio name that sounds like an Elzar branded orange juice-like drink from Futurama, Nickelodeon Kart Racer is released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch in 2018, and did basically what you would expect from a kart racing game starring Nicktoons. You have Nicktoons, they're in karts, and they go vroom vroom around Nickelodeon show locations, haphazardly squished against racetracks. It's very much just a kart racer at the end of the day, but it did have a few noteworthy features like jet ski segments, special jet ski only races where whoever is the last person after a set period of time is eliminated. It also featured unique attacks for each character that could randomly be assigned to you when hitting a weapon crate.
But above all else, the game finally allows us to definitively answer that age-old question, one that has torn fandoms apart for generations: is SpongeBob SquarePants a better driver than Michelangelo?
Thank goodness the debate can finally end. Then, in 2020, Bam-Tang and Game Mill released Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix for the same systems, but also for PC and mobile, so more people could finally be disappointed by the lack of deep-cut character inclusions like Parker Dinkelman. Jokes aside though, Kart Racers 2 improved on the controls of the original game so karts don't feel like you're driving a bathtub anymore, but for some reason removed the gliding and jet ski bits for no real reason that I can tell. They also removed the unique character weapons, but I'm fine with that, mainly because I don't want the trauma of Chucky throwing his mother's dead ashes at me to gain the advantage in a race. While it removed a bunch of stuff that the first game included, it did bump up the roster a bit, going from 12 racers across 4 franchises to 30 racers from 13 different franchises, including the bane of my very existence, Digital JoJo Siwa. Go back to the candy store, you rubber-banding butthead. Bam! Kart Racers 2 also featured Pit Crews, which was basically just an easy way to bring in random characters they didn't have the time to make character models for. So now I'm not just SpongeBob, I'm SpongeBob being slapped in the rear bumper by a child with a massively oversized hockey stick.
Gangway! For honor!
Both of these games are serviceable kart racers at best and occasionally infuriating at worst. But they're both just fine. But we're not here to talk about them. We're here to look towards the future.
A listing for Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway appeared thanks to a Best Buy leak, with the game being formally announced later the same day, and thanks to the leak, we already know a few details about the upcoming game. The game will feature 40 racers this time, 90 total crew members, 36 different tracks, the ability to choose bikes over karts, full voice acting for all of the game's characters, and a from-the-ground-up rebuild of the kart racing formula that the first 2 games started. So, of course, that means I'm going to dig through my memory for obscure characters to pick and choose who I would want to see in the game.
Now, before I get too deep into this, I want to give a quick shout out to Edith Cassidy here on YouTube, whose comment on my original Nickelodeon All Star Brawl wishlist video is the inspiration for this one. So thank you for giving me the idea for this video, Edith, and I hope you enjoy all of the terrible jokes that you've caused as a result of this decision. This is going to basically work similarly to my fighting game wishlist videos in the past, but I don't have to spend as much time talking about how they might fight in the game, and it can instead explain just who they are and why I want to see them as racers if they were to be added into the game. I have 10 racers that I would like to see, and I'll say up front that I omitted any of the characters I mentioned in my All Star Brawl wishlist video simply because I would want any of them in the game as well, but also so I could drop a few more obscure or silly characters into the mix and see what comes of it. So just consider that whole video more like an honorable mentions type thing for this one, while I dump a bunch of real oddball options on you to test how much of a prophet I truly am when it comes to these wishlist videos. Enough delaying, let's just talk about some Nickelodeon characters. Starting with...
You like jazz?
The Mighty Bee is a show that I don't hear people bring up all that often, and after watching some of the show, I can kinda understand why. A lot of the show centers around the main character, Bessie, a young girl trying to earn badges for her Girl Scout-style troop because she thinks earning them all will make her a superhero or something. It's an interesting direction to take a female-led kids cartoon, since Bessie is often portrayed as socially awkward or simply hyper-focused on things that she's interested in. While I personally didn't watch much of the show, the style and characters have stuck with me for quite a while, so maybe bringing the main character into this as a bit of show representation would be nice. I mean, Ren and Stimpy have basically been relegated to cameo appearances in games like this for years now, and the Mighty Bee frequently features visuals that would fit right in alongside Ren and Stimpy, so it just kind of works, you know?
All of this just works.
Exactly, Todd. See? He gets it.
Wake up, boo new, it's me, it's you get a clue.
Nick Jr. is a part of Nickelodeon that often goes overlooked when it comes to these crossovers, and it makes perfect sense as to why. Nick Jr. is meant for a much younger audience, and something like a Tournament of Champions or a child-friendly version of Twisted Metal might not be appropriate for children who don't even know how to spell yet. That said, there's still plenty of shows that could find their way into a game like this, so why not include a character from one of the more well-known Nick Jr. shows? Characters like Dora, Diego, Millie, or Chase would all be great fits for a Nick Jr. rep, but I think the obvious pick here should be none other than everyone's favorite clue-hunting canine, Blue. Would Dora or Millie make more sense because they have, you know, hands? Technically yes, but this is my list, and when I think of Nick Jr., one of the first shows that comes to my mind is Blue's Clues. I will admit that this is one of those inclusions that's more here as a bit of representation for another part of Nickelodeon than one that I would actually want to see. But it would be a nice bit of acknowledgement for another part of the channel at least. And hey, if Blue wouldn't work for some reason, why not include Steve as an optional driver instead? He could even hit his opponents with emotional damage to get the edge in the race.
I never forgot you. Ever.
Wouldn't be where I am without you today, Steve.
Are you going to finish that croissant?
Considering we have Hugh coming to All Star Brawl, I wouldn't be surprised if we had at least one character from Jimmy Neutron make their way into the next kart racing game. So obviously Jimmy and Hugh are frontrunners, considering Jimmy is the literal star of the show and Hugh is a meme lord deluxe with extra duck sauce, but I would personally love to see Carl Weezer make his way into the game. Carl is one of Jimmy's best friends, he's asthmatic, and he's in love with Jimmy's mom. Those aren't really qualifications for him being in a kart racing game, but I honestly don't have much else to add here because I doubt he'd even get in over Jimmy or Hugh. Hell, Sheen has more of a chance to get in for the simple fact that he had his own show, even if Carl had a supporting role in said show. I don't know, I like Carl. I don't really have any other reason for bringing him up, so bring him into the kart game. Why not? Let him finally achieve something with his life.
Wow! I can do something! Somebody call my mom!
Random dancing!
Amanda Bynes isn't a name that's tossed around much these days outside of nostalgic memories, but The Amanda Show was one of the more chaotic and fun shows that aired on Nickelodeon between 1999 and 2002. A sketch variety show framed as a show within a show, the show featured a lot of recurring characters and skits, but it might be hard to get the rights to a character that a specific actor played. So how about we go with one of the more out there, but still potentially marketable and ambiguous characters?
Quad dismissed! Bring in the dancing lobsters!
Yep, the Dancing Lobsters. A lol so random way of ending the Judge Judy recurring gag bit should be included in a kart racing game. I did say at the beginning of this video that I was just choosing characters that I think would be fun to see added into the game, and I like the Dancing Lobsters. So what? Oh, you want an actual character? Well, how about this one?
Stop it.
Originally a recurring sketch in another sketch comedy show, All That, most people these days probably know about Good Burger thanks to the Jimmy Fallon sketch, which is a very sad thing to think about. Good Burger as a sketch was very simple, usually revolving around someone trying to order their food, only to be talking to Ed, the most chaotically inept fast food worker I think I've ever seen, and I say that as someone who used to work as a chaotically inept fast food worker. Played by Kel Mitchell of Keenan and Kel fame, Ed is another one of those lol so random characters that known creepwad Dan Schneider loved to add to his shows. While the dancing lobsters would be nice, I think Ed would work just a bit better as a character to bring in simply because he is a character. It'd be nice to welcome him to the Kart Racer, home of the kart racing, and him getting into the game would finally help settle an argument I had with a kid in 4th grade who thought Drake Bell was better than Ed. Not that I need much help there now. Plus, if they really wanted to, they could bring in the Burger Mobile from the Good Burger movie. And if they let different characters drive in different karts like how they do in Mario Kart, it would let me reenact the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we all secretly want more than anything out of this game?
Good, bad, you must love you.
One of my favorite shows growing up was Mucha Lucha, a Warner Brothers animation show centered around 3 friends attending a luchador school to hone their skills. So when El Tigre first came to Nickelodeon a few years later, I thought it was just a ripoff of Mucha Lucha and gave it a pass. But the more I look into it, the more I realize that El Tigre was a whole other show worth remembering. El Tigre is about Manny Rivera, a 13-year-old boy with superpowers whose father is a hero in Miracle City, while his grandfather is one of the greatest villains the city has ever known. Manny spends most of his time either doing good or bad things as both his father and grandfather tried to guide him towards their lifestyle, and it's an all-around clever little show with some great flash animation and decent humor. Like with the Mighty Bee, it isn't talked about much these days, and it would be nice to see some representation of the show in a new game. I would still prefer a Mucha Lucha rep, but as I said, that's from Warner Brothers, so they're more likely to appear in multiverses if anything. I'll settle for El Tigre though, so give me some of that goodness. Glitch Text is one of those shows that I've sat down and watched some of since my original video, and I have to say that I'm sad I didn't watch it sooner. The show has some great animation, it references games, anime, movies, and more as we watch Glitch Text, Miko, and High Five work at a game store that also has their employees destroy glitches from video games that manifest themselves into the real world. So what better series to possibly bring into the fray? Well, I think this one might not have as much of a chance for the simple fact that this was technically a Netflix show, regardless of the fact that it started life as and was still branded as a Nickelodeon show. As far as I can tell, Nickelodeon isn't too keen on advertising it anywhere, even basically canceling it originally before relegating it to Netflix. So who knows what'll happen at this point? Would it be nice? Sure. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not. But if by some miracle Nickelodeon acknowledges one of their best shows in ages, bringing in either Miko or High Five would be a slam dunk in my mind. Both are great characters, have simple enough designs to translate into character models, and are some of the channel's more modern characters that don't have the last name Star or Loud. I just think it'd be neat to see them in the game. Simple as that. SpongeBob has become one of the biggest franchises on the planet. But when I first heard about the show, it was thanks to Nickelodeon magazine all the way back in early 1999. The cover of that particular issue was the first time I learned about SpongeBob, but also on the cover was another upcoming show called Rocket Power. Rocket Power was basically a child-friendly look into the life of extreme sports. Things like surfing, skateboarding, paragliding, you know, that sort of thing. Its main cast of characters were a group of friends doing typical friend things, and never really found its way out of the massive shadow cast by its underwater contemporary. Overall, I have good memories with the show, including Fish Think Fingers Are Food, the Hot Durger, and more. So I think it'd be cool to see at least one of the characters make their way into the game. I mean, it at least makes sense that some extreme sports loving kids would want to get in on a kart racer, so why not throw Otto or Reggie in for some extra fun? Either that or give me Tito, because Tito is just cool. Actually, you know what? Give me Tito in All Star Brawl 2. Consider him like a number 11 on my original list for that. Hashtag Tito for Brawl. Let's get it trending, people. Show the same compassion you showed for Hugh towards Tito. The only time I've ever actually sat down and watched full episodes of The Loud House is when I'm in a hotel and it happens to be on TV where nothing else is on. And occasionally, the episode that follows it would be from the show's spin-off series, The Casagrandes. The Casagrandes are a multi-generational family of Mexican Americans, but it's otherwise just The Loud House again. Which is fine by me because The Loud House is an alright show that's kind of fun to watch on occasion, and in the new game, I think we should get some Casagrandes representation as well. I mean, that's basically it here. There's already 3 reps from the Loud House in Kart Racers 2, not to mention the multiple characters who come in as pit crew members, so maybe throw a bone towards the already canceled spin-off show instead of dropping in another one of Lincoln's sisters? That's really all I got here. I'm actually kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel because I'm running out of unique options that I'd actually be excited to see, you know? Oh, but we're not at the bottom just yet.
Not another speeding ticket. I'll fight it in court, but I don't think they're gonna accept gotta go fast as a medical condition.
So, this one is pretty simple. Paramount owns Nickelodeon. You know what else Paramount owns the rights to? Movie Sonic.
Alright, I'll admit, this one is one I'd like to see just because I think it'd be kind of funny. Specifically because I think the characterization of Movie Sonic would fit right in with something like this, similar to how Garfield just kind of fits into All Star Brawl. And since they have Game Sonic and Smash, maybe the Nick games could have Movie Sonic? I mean, it would be a confusing mess of timelines and characterization that fits perfectly within the Sonic mythos already, so why not? This isn't really as out there of an idea as you might think, especially when you consider Sonic has his own racing game series for a while now. I think like 4 of the characters in the entire roster of Racers 2 have any canonical driving experience either way, so maybe having driving experience would be a bad thing in this case? None of the characters in the game seem to be wearing seatbelts, and at least a few of them aren't even really human, so who knows what the hell the rules are anymore.
And really, that's that. I'm actually a little excited for a new kart racing game from Nickelodeon, even if my excitement isn't anywhere near the levels of what I had for All Star Brawl. I might have had my problems with these 2 previous kart racers, but I still enjoyed them enough to earn myself the Platinum Trophy for them. But at the same time, I didn't even think about making this video until that comment literally gave me the idea.
That said, I'm on board for some Nickelodeon crossover goodness. Maybe I'll take a look at some of Nick's older crossover games in their own video at some point down the road, but for now, I'll take what I can get with Kart Racers 3.
This may just be another instance where I'm excited to be part of the memes that come from this. But either way, I'm just eager to see how this all shapes out. And of course to earn the Platinum Trophy, because I currently don't have it, and that's a problem. And hey, even if the racers I've proposed here don't make it in as actual racers, they could easily just drop them into the game as pit crew members. I mean, it's a hell of a lot easier for the devs to import a PNG of a character once than it is to model the entire character for a racing game. So do with that what you will, Bamtang. I don't care. Are there any characters from Nickelodeon's extensive library of cartoons that you would like to see added into the game? Let me know down in the comments below, and let me know if you're even interested in this game to begin with. I know a part of why All Star Brawl got as much coverage as it did is because its association with Smash Brothers, so it's very possible this one won't reach nearly the same level of meme appeal. I mean, I still know people who don't even know that these 2 games exist, so it's very possible that the 3rd one will just slide under the radar as well. There might be some crossover between Smash Bros fans and Mario Kart fans that could translate to Nick All Star Brawl and Nick Kart Racing, but we'll have to wait and see either way. Anyway, that's about going to do it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Follow me on the various social medias you see on screen right now, and I will see all of you in the next video. Take care.